The disgraced former president and president-elect Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit against the Des Moines Register and its former lead pollster, J.Ann Seltzer, escalating his legal battles with media outlets. The suit filed on Monday night in Iowa's Polk County accuses the newspaper and Seltzer of brazen election interference over a November 2nd poll that showed Democratic candidate Kamala Harris leading Trump by 13 percentage points in Iowa. Seltzer's polling miss was not an astonishing coincidence, it was intentional, the lawsuit claims, quoting Trump as saying she knew exactly what she was doing.
I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest. We need a great media, we need a fair media, and you need a fair press. And the press is, I see others. I have a few others that I'm doing. I'm going to, as an example, I'm doing this not because I want to. I'm doing this because I feel I have an obligation to. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points, and it became the biggest story all over the world. And I feel I have to do this. I shouldn't really be the one to do it. It should have been Justice Department or somebody else, but I have to do it. It costs a lot of money to do it, but we have to straighten out the press. Our press is very corrupt, almost as corrupt as our elections.
The lawsuit seeks unspecified damages and a court order prohibiting the Des Moines Register from engaging in ongoing deceptive and misleading acts and practices in its polling. A representative for the Register defended its reporting, calling the lawsuit without merit. The release of the poll in the final week before the election was a morale boost for Democrats who saw it as a sign that Harris might have momentum not just in Iowa but in other key Midwestern battleground states. Republicans, however, were skeptical of the poll's accuracy. Pollsters often remind the public that polls are snapshots of a moment in time and not necessarily accurate predictors of election outcomes. They also caution against extrapolating results from one state to others, as each state has unique electoral dynamics and demographics. Nonetheless, the Seltzer poll's more than 16-point discrepancy from the election results raised eyebrows even among polling professionals. Seltzer herself admitted the miss was troubling, and in recent interviews she has expressed ongoing confusion about what went wrong. In one interview, Seltzer recounted how she and her team meticulously reviewed the poll data, finding no obvious red flags. In fact, some internal indicators of the sample's composition appeared to favor Trump, such as a higher proportion of rural voters and fewer young voters than were projected to participate. Seltzer suggested the issue might have been an overly stringent voter screen that filtered out respondents deemed unlikely to cast ballots. However, she pushed back against accusations that her actions were malicious or politically motivated. They're saying this was election interference, which is a crime, she said during a recent panel discussion. The idea that I intentionally engineered this result when I've had countless opportunities to do so before is simply not in line with my ethics. Seltzer also rejected claims that she had conspired or been paid by anyone to produce skewed results. There's not a single shred of evidence to support these accusations, she said. It's hard to give them much attention, except for the fact that they're accusing me of a crime. The lawsuit follows a $15 million settlement in a defamation case Trump brought against ABC News. The settlement included a public apology for comments made by anchor George Stephanopoulos, who inaccurately stated that Trump had been found liable for rape in a civil case. Trump has touted the settlement as a major victory, saying it reflects growing accountability for those who have wronged him. Today, Trump's lawyers cited the ABC settlement in a letter to a judge overseeing a separate copyright lawsuit against Simon & Schuster. That lawsuit involves audio recordings of interviews with Trump, and his legal team has urged the publisher to take a conciliatory approach similar to ABC's. Some legal experts warn that Trump's actions could discourage aggressive reporting on his administration despite robust legal protections for journalists. The ABC case, for instance, revolved around comments by Stephanopoulos regarding writer E. Jean Carroll's civil case against Trump. While Stephanopoulos incorrectly stated Trump was found liable for rape, the jury had actually ruled Trump liable for sexual abuse, a distinction under New York law. Legal analysts believe ABC could have successfully defended the case, but settled to avoid prolonged litigation. The judge in New York, Louis A. Kaplan, said that when Carroll repeated her allegation that Trump raped her, her words were substantially true. Kaplan also set out in detail why it may be said that Trump raped Carroll. Dismissing the counterclaim, Judge Kaplan provided an unsparing analysis of the legal issues that informed the New York verdict. He wrote the only issue on which the jury did not find in Miss Carroll's favor was whether she proved that Mr. Trump raped her within the narrow, technical meaning of that term in the New York penal law, where the definition of rape is limited to penile penetration rather than digital or any other form of forced penetration. Trump has also filed a $1 billion lawsuit against CBS News, alleging deceptive editing in a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. CBS has dismissed the claims as completely without merit and is seeking to have the case dismissed. Trump has long criticized the legal standard of actual malice, which requires public figures to prove that defamatory statements were made knowingly or with reckless disregard for the truth. While this standard remains a formidable obstacle for Trump's lawsuits, some U.S. Supreme Court justices have signaled openness to revisiting it. I just want to interrupt myself for a moment to ask you to support me and independent journalism by becoming an exclusive member of this YouTube channel. You'll receive members-only content, early access to videos, monthly live-streamed Q&As, and much more. It costs just $3 a month for membership, which goes towards helping me grow the channel and create factual, accurate news commentary for those who need it most. Right now, the failures of corporate-owned media and the spread of disinformation and far-right propaganda has made finding authentic news coverage in the US difficult. And with your help, we can have a greater reach, whilst democracy hangs by a thread and the threat of fascism is closer than ever. I'll do my best to put this honest analysis out every day, but I really need your help to do that. If you're watching on a computer, simply click Join directly below or click the Join link in the description to join the 5 Minute News YouTube channel. If you already have a Patreon account, please subscribe at patreon.com/5minutenews. Thank you. Despite the challenges, Trump's legal actions signal an aggressive strategy against media outlets and even individuals he believes have wronged him. Whether these lawsuits succeed or fail, they underline Trump's determination to reshape the media landscape and potentially the legal standards governing it. The reasons behind ABC's settlement with Donald Trump and the timing remain a mystery to many within the network and its parent company Disney, as well as to political and media observers. This problem needed to go away, one ABC executive said this week, offering little clarity on the decision. Meanwhile, among Trump's allies, the celebration and renewed confidence in his legal strategy against the media were palpable. Let this be a warning to all haters. Defamation is real, and your free trial of bad-mouthing just expired, said Representative Nancy Mace on Twitter, following news of the settlement. Mace herself was the subject of George Stephanopoulos' interview in the segment that Trump claimed was defamatory. During the presidential campaign, Trump not only sued CBS News for the way it edited an interview with opponent Kamala Harris, suggesting ABC News lose its broadcast license for fact-checking him during his lone debate with Harris, and successfully called for equal time on NBC after Harris appeared on Saturday Night Live. Look, it's important to see what has happened outside the United States under authoritarians. Look at Hungary, under the control of Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Since Orban took control in 2010, he and his supporters have taken control of most media and turned it into a propaganda arm. Trump identifies Orban as his closest ally and referee. While criticizing a president, former president, or presidential candidate is not a crime, Trump's recent flurry of lawsuits against journalists and media organizations signals a broader aim. These legal battles may not always be about winning in court, but rather about fostering a chilling effect, discouraging media criticism of his future administration by making the cost of coverage uncomfortably high. On the campaign trail and in interviews, Trump has suggested that when he regains the White House, he will exact vengeance on news outlets that anger him. More specifically, Trump has pledged to toss reporters in jail and strip major television networks of their broadcast licenses as retribution for coverage that he didn't like. Trump speaks directly to the First Amendment, a cornerstone of our democracy, proof that authoritarianism has already arrived in America, hell-bent on deconstructing our institutions, including our First Amendment right to free speech. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.